We'll start with WWE, and we'll start more specifically with Bray Wyatt, who made his comeback. He made his return at Extreme Rules, and there was not much on Raw this week outside of another video teaser, but he did make his return to Smackdown on Friday night. And going forward, Bray is officially slated to be part of the Blue brand, so he will be a SmackDown guy from here on out. They saved him for the end of the show, which was a smart thing for them to do. They teased it all throughout the show on Friday night. They built to whatever his segment was going to be at the end of the night. And he's got the epic entrance. It's very similar to how he showed up at Extreme Rules. They have the doorway, and the door swings open with the light shining through, and here comes Bray in his street clothes. He's got the lantern. You see all the fireflies in the crowd. He came out to a new theme song. And I don't know if this will be his new theme song going forward, or if this is just his theme song for this particular version of Bray that we got on TV this week. I think we're going to be getting many versions of Bray Wyatt. But apparently it is a Code Orange song. Now, Code Orange is the band who did the song for Malachi Black, back when he was Aleister Black in NXT. And they also did the theme song for The Fiend, which is a great song. They have a new song called Shatter. I don't know if this was specifically done for Bray. I can't find it anywhere, so it might have been done for him specifically. I'm still waiting for the official version to drop. The more I listen to it, because I did go back and watch this a couple of times, the more I listen to it, the more I like it. It's a good song. It was just weird. There's parts of the song, and there's, the percussion parts of the song. It doesn't seem to fit Bray, but again, the more I listen to it, the more I like it. But he comes down to the ring. He gets inside, and he cuts a promo like we've never heard from Bray Wyatt on TV before. He talks about how he's nervous, and he looked nervous, and he said, this is a version of me that, we've never seen before. This is the real Bray Wyatt for the very first time that we're getting to see. And he said that this past year in his life, he lost a lot of things. Someone in the crowd said, I love you, and he stopped and said, I love you too. He said he lost his career. He lost his self-confidence. He lost two people who were very close to him. I don't know who that would be, since Brody Lee passed away a lot longer than a year ago. But he said he lost two people who were very close to him, and he lost his way. And he got to a point that everything he ever did here, he felt didn't matter to anyone, or he was worried that maybe everything he had done didn't matter. But he said he was wrong. He said when he would be out and about, people would come up to him and ask him, hey, Bray, when are you coming home? And they would come up to him and say, look, I just want to thank you, because I was in a time of need and I lost people who were close to me. I felt weak. I felt vulnerable. And I found your words, I guess, to be inspirational. And I just wanted to say thank you, because you saved my life. People would come up to him and say, you saved my life. And that got him a thank you Bray chant. And he can say that we were there for him when he was down and when he was weak and he was vulnerable. And he thanked the fans for helping to save his life. So after all the mushy stuff was done, the lights go dark again, and we got the same masked figure in the same glitchy video that we saw at Extreme Rules, the man behind the mask. Oh, little one, my little one, come with me. Forget the future, forget the past. Life is over, breathe your last. You've got no idea who you're dealing with, do you? Oh, but you will. You will. On Friday, we got to see Windham Rotunda for the first time. I think that what we saw was a chance for him to go out there as himself and thank the fans. No gimmick, no masks, just, no rocking chair, none of that stuff. He's just out there in the ring to say what he has probably wanted to say, frankly, for a very long time, without all the hocus pocus and all that stuff. I looked at what happened on Friday as his way of saying thank you before this storyline starts to get really wacky. Because we are only in the beginning phases of whatever this is going to be. Wherever this is headed towards WrestleMania, it's probably going to be a pretty weird ride. And there's probably going to be a lot of different personalities and a lot of different characters that come out of this. So I think this was his way of saying, look, I may never do another segment like this again on TV as myself. So I want to go out there and just say a few things before the lights go dark and all that stuff starts out. The emotion on his face and the emotion in his voice, Yes, it could have been staged that way, but I'm sure that some of that was very real. And that he's been holding in a lot of that for over a year. The guy got fired. And not only did he get fired, but he was only released after being off television for months. And then there were reports that Vince McMahon, soured on him or wasn't a big fan of his anymore, if he ever really was. And there were reports leaking out from the company long after he had gotten released that, he was difficult to work with. And, that was kind of their story that was being leaked. And Bray never said anything. He never went and did a shoot interview. He didn't show up on another company's TV and start shooting on WWE. So I'm sure it's been a very roller coaster year for him. And this was his way of getting a lot of that off his chest in a few words. That's how I saw what we saw on Smackdown on Friday night. And real emotion, I believe, always makes for great television. We got to see the real Bray Wyatt until one of his alter egos stepped in to remind him that you can't run from your past. Right? The Wyatt Six. It could be a reference to a new group, or it could simply be a reference to all of his own personalities. The voice behind the mask in the video did sound a lot like him. I'm sure he's the one who did the narration. It's the same mask that he wore at Extreme Rules before he revealed himself. That was the mask that he was wearing. Internally, per Fightful, people in WWE were referring to the mask as the Uncle Howdy mask. WWE filed to trademark the names Uncle Howdy and Uncle Harper back on October 8th. That was the day of the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Uncle Harper is obviously a tribute to Luke Harper, but I don't know what their plans are for the character, if it's going to be a character. I don't know what form that's going to take. The rumors that have been going around all week long of a War Games match at Survivor Series with the Bloodline against the Wyatt Six is just that. It is a rumor. It was a rumor that was started with a Twitter account, not even a legitimate news source. But people ran with it because it's fun to fantasy book, right? Oh, how cool would it be to see the Wyatt family or the Wyatt Six taking on the Bloodline? And they started fantasy booking themselves into oblivion. There's nothing to it. But according to The Observer, there is said to be a long-term plan for the Wyatt Six heading into WrestleMania. And that's not surprising to me when I read that, given how they now have a director of long-term creative, and it just so happens to be somebody who was friendly with Bray and who had a hand in all of the QR code stuff building to his return. That is the person now who is in charge of long-term creative in WWE. I'm sure they do have a plan for this, heading into at least WrestleMania. Now, there's been a lot of chatter about, Alexa Bliss. Is she still going to be linked with Bray? There's been talk of Liv Morgan possibly being connected somehow because she's gone mad. Right now, she's laughing at herself and she's gone crazy. Bray's brother, Bo Dallas, he's said to be on his way back to WWE. I would love to see Bray and Bo working together. I think that there was great potential in Bo being part of the Wyatt family back in the day and the two of them working together. I always thought there was great potential in him in a way similar to how Stevie Richards was a lackey to Raven in Raven's flock in WCW. But they never pursued it. They always kept the two of them apart. Eric Rowan is still a free agent. He's got ties to Bray. Joe Gacy and the Dyad from NXT, they've been mentioned as possibly joining the Wyatt crew. But that, to me, that just sounds like people throwing names out there because, they're dark and spooky and so is Bray, and so maybe they're going to link up with him. Joe Gacy's like a cult leader and so was Bray at one point. I don't know that there's anything to that. But the way they went off the air, because when that video was over, they faded to black. The way they went off the air on Friday left me wanting more. I thought it was a great cliffhanger. It was a very smart way for them to stage that. What we are seeing here so far, and it's only been a couple of weeks, but what we are seeing here so far is Bray Wyatt with more creative freedom than he had under Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon did not see the value in keeping Bray Wyatt around anymore, in part because he had a big fat contract, right? He was set to be making millions. Depending on what number you believe, I've seen numbers anywhere from $1 million a year to as much as $4 million a year. Now, I don't know if that's just salary. I don't know if that's salary plus merch money. I'm sure he was killing it in merch with the Fiend stuff. Why do you think they still have Alexa Bliss carrying that fucking doll around? But Vince McMahon soured on him. They let him go. Turns out it was the best thing that could have happened to him. And under Triple H, he'll have the chance now to show us why.